Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menonton rakaman khas Agenda AWANI. Hari Merdeka sudah berlalu, Hari Malaysia juga sedang merasa kehangatannya, dan sepanjang dengan itu saya ingin mencuri peluang ini untuk melihat tentang proton. Bukan mudah untuk sebuah negara membangun seperti Malaysia 35 tahun lebih dahulu untuk mewujudkan satu industri berkapasiti teknologi tinggi pada ketika itu. Tapi kita bukan sahaja berjaya mewujudkan, kita berjaya juga menghantar kereta proton ke luar negara. Tetapi selepas itu semua rakyat Malaysia yang membaca tahu apa terjadi, dan kini saya ingin masuk ke era depan. Apa maksudnya proton sekarang untuk negara, untuk industri dan untuk anda semua pengguna? Kerana saya masih lagi pengguna proton saga versi pertama. Untuk itu bersama saya, I would like to now speak in English. I would like to welcome my very, very honoured guest, Dr. Lee Chunrong. Thank you so much for making time. You're the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Perusahaan Automobil Nasional Sdn Bhd, fondly known as Proton. And Datuk Radzaif Mohamed, you're the Deputy CEO of Proton. Of course, representing the interests of the RB Highcom, for example, and you represent the interests of Geely and other partners. But I want to go back, about 3-4 years, 2017. Not only is Geely new to Malaysia, you were new to Geely and you were handpicked purposely for the purpose of Proton. And what was your impression then? Because for your credentials, a PhD holder in engineering, business or master's holder from MIT, I mean, coming to Malaysia and a car brand that's not even on par with South Korea or Japan or even China.
I think when I came to here, at that moment, I'm 53 years old. And also I did automobile industry, this job, for 30 years. So I think I did a lot in China. So I need to go to the other place to look around. Mm-hmm. Can I do the other contribution or not? Mm-hmm. So this is internal intention. Okay. I need to do more contribution.
Okay. Datuk Radzaif, when it was mentioned, sebut sahaja Proton akan dijual kepentingannya kepada syarikat asing. The stake will be sold to an outside entity. The national part comes into play. A lot of people, even though they do not own Proton, didn't own Proton, were voicing their concerns, let me put it that way. But with hindsight now, looking forward, and I must share this with the audience, Proton nicely allowed me to drive the X70 for about 3 to 4 days. And I was telling Dr. Lee, as I was getting out of their HQ, going into Kesas Highway, I could only drive at 60 because the car, despite me being a long-time Proton driver, the car was feeling and looking inside it like a Volvo, and the sensors were telling me so many things. I said, okay, compute and adapt. And that made me drive 60 km per hour until I reached my house because I was so afraid I will damage the new car. So, Datuk Radzaif, we have come a long way. But my point to you, do you think that now, after 3-4 years, Malaysians have seen the impact like what Geely and Dr. Lee has brought to Proton?
Thank you very much, Kamarul. I think if you look at, I'll take you back to the years when Proton was first established. I think there were main reasons why Proton was supposed to lead the industrialization of Malaysia through the automotive industry, supposed to build up competency of the Malaysian people, and at the same time to be able to market internationally. And I think as we move forward into the 2015, 2016, we recognize the fact that we couldn't do it alone. And for me, having Geely as our partner, as our strategic partner, it's a realization that this is something that we need to do if we want to remain as a brand that is competitive, okay, and to bring our automotive industry to the next level in Malaysia. So it was not something that we didn't realize. I think, in fact, we already know that for us to move forward, we need to have that new technology, and which we could not find in Malaysia on our own.
Dr. Lee, China started its passenger car industry way later than Malaysia and Proton. So what were the learning points from there that you brought here? And I must say congratulations, because the figures speak for themselves. 100,000 car, 130,000, these are the results, right? But we'll go to that later. But I just want that perspective, because in the 70s, Malaysia were embarking on the large national industrial master plan earlier than China. Some Chinese officials even came here the moment we have diplomatic relations. But suddenly, for the car passenger industry, or passenger car industry, starting in the 90s, China just like flew up. So what's the secret that you brought here?
I think, generally speaking, because of really serious competition, and also China is a big market. In China, in 1957, China started to commercial vehicle. About 1997, Chile, for example, they start to passenger vehicle. So for China automaker, we are really late. However, after China entered the WTO, and also every OEM, international player, came to China. So competition is very serious.
Okay.
And also market is really bigger. So I think because of these two reasons, China automaker improved a lot. So not only for commercial vehicle, but also for passenger vehicle, we learned a lot from joint venture. And also finally, China can develop a passenger car by itself.
That was what you were doing for Dongfeng,
Yes.
if I pronounce it correctly. You not only with the European ones, but you also work with like Kia, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. So what's the difference between that early years for the Chinese passenger car industry and the role you are playing right now in Proton?
I think at the later moment, Dongfeng has more joint venture between Dongfeng and Nissan, Honda, Peugeot, Citroen, and Renault. We learn a lot from the other OEM. Then we learn a lot in terms of this JV company. I think we can use not only for technology, but also for management methods.
I see. The reason I ask, because Proton started with strategic partnership with a Japanese big brand, with Mitsubishi. I mean, my Saga, because it's the first version, have the Orion engine, which is a Mitsubishi thing. But it still didn't work out. What's the difference that China car companies did, that the transfer of technology is not only from the technology and the engineering, but also from management and sales?
At the beginning, in terms of a passenger car, Chinese OEM, because of JV, because of we can produce for components for the JV company. So for these vendors, they learn a lot.
I see.
At the same time, Chinese automaker, they can ask some international designer, for example, styling. So not only technology, but design altogether. So I think Chinese OEM learn a lot from the other OEM, international brands.
Datuk, X70, hopefully X50 soon. I'm going to ask them to give me a few scoops. Come on. Like I said, when I went into the X70, and that was my first time ever to drive it, and it feels like a Volvo, you know. And then the interactive part came into being, and that's just something else. So the leap that has been done, surely now is the way to go for Proton.
Agree, definitely agree with that. I think we have to keep up with the trends, the needs of the market. I think where we lack in the past, and because of that we were left behind. we did not meet the requirements. I think we did not focus on the quality requirements of the market, what the consumer wants, and I mean, there's certain things that was famous with Proton, for example. I don't want to mention it today. It's well known.
I will mention it.
But these are the sort of things that the market or the consumers are getting more sophisticated, and if they can find it in any other brands or any other makes, then they will move towards that brand. Now, you said yourself that moving into the X70, it's a leap from where Proton was, and this is one of the reasons why we said that we need to look for a foreign partner, and they will be the one to bring to us the technology. At the same time, I think importantly, also cost benefits from it because of the scale. I think Malaysia is a small market. China is very much bigger market, isn't it?
Malaysia is a small market, but very competitive, right?
Yeah.
For such a small market.
So it was. I think it is the right move for us anyway. I think moving forward, there are many new things that will come up again for Proton.
The proof is always in the pudding, and for the car, it's always in the drive.
Yeah.
So moving forward, even with all this, you still trail the best-selling car rival in Malaysia by about 20% market share or more.
Of course,
So how do you move forward when what Datuk Radzaif didn't want to say, if you drive a national car before and when you approach any toll gates, other cars you don't see the door opening, but for this national car before, I don't do it anymore because I've mastered the art of rolling down the window very, very fast. But moving forward, we not only want Proton not only to have those basic problems, but maybe by 2027, that's the 10-year plan that Dr. Lee has put forth. Can we actually be imagining with hope, real hope, that will be better than even Tesla? If the basics are right, the improvement of technology can be faster and better. So that's the vision that I want to talk about after this, but maybe they'll share a thing about X50 also after this, so stay tuned. You are still watching a very special recording of Agenda Awani, and if I don't even get a scoop on X50, at least I get a scoop of having the two most important leaders of Proton, Dr. Lee and Datuk Radzaif here, and I'm told by the comms team that they don't do this, period, this kind of interviews. My producer will insert a clip after I say this while I'm saying this. Right now is the season where you have to look up at the sky for you to measure your day. Because if you don't, you might only have one appointment rather than 5 because the roads are flooded. And the clip my producer is showing is of a very small car almost floating across the flood to go. And before I go into the very technical, targets, KPIs and stuff, Dr. Lee, as an engineer trained until the doctorate level, we can design, we can engineer, but in Asia, there's this specialty of expecting any product to do a miracle. A small car going past a very high water, and that's still doable. So how do you factor this into the psyche of your R&D? Because moving forward, the next 35 years for Proton, I think technology and R&D is going to be very key, but managing expectations also.
Great.
I think moving forward, if we want to achieve our target, Malaysia #1, ASEAN market #3, we should depend on technology. But we know behind the technology, behind the product is people. Behind the people is culture. So this is, we spend 3 years. We improve our product, we improve our people, and also we improve our culture.
Correct. At first, it was not that easy. I remember the very infamous stories of when you want to make sure that your sales centers, really bucked up because you were trying to make Proton very lean, and instead of having dozens of warehouses, for example, you cut it down. But it doesn't work if the whole supply chain doesn't follow, because you might not meet the customer, but the frontliners will be the people who are selling the car and talking about the car when they have problems and stuff like that. So to move from a single service center kind of mentality of 1S, just selling, to maybe sales, service and spare parts, maybe 3S or even better 4S, how did you convince this supply chain, which were mainly made up, forgive the word again, I have to raise it, Bumi Putra, who will always ask for protection from the government? And Proton has been having this for the longest time, for 35 years. So how did you manage to convince them?
Very good question. Because of this issue, I was asked go to the central government to meet minister at least 10 times. Why do you do this way? When I came to here, I look at our value chain. I think everything must come from original point.
Yeah.
That is customer satisfaction. So when I visit our dealers, I found out about 70% our dealers only focus on sales. They forget after service.
Yeah.
Why? Actually, after service, the profitability is high, but they don't want to do.
Yeah.
That means no confidence for our branding. So when we plan to launch X70, we know this is a very good product.
Correct.
We want to let our customer have a good experience. So this is why we ask our dealer, please set up 3S or 4S. Then our customer can have a very good service.
Yeah.
At that moment, 95% dealer
Say no.
disagree our decision.
Yes.
But 2 years later, about 90%, they like it because they can make money.
More money, a lot more money, correct?
They don't want to tell me.
Dr. Lee is very polite. Can you tell me the war at that time that's happening? Oh, I'm sure a lot of meetings for that.
Right. I think for where I came from, okay, before Dr. Lee, I think everyone realized the difficulty that Proton was facing, and this is our chance to turn around. And rightly, as what Dr. Lee says, okay, the key to this is to make sure that the customer is happy with what we are trying to sell. And of course, the products that we make and sell represent the mass market, and more important that we actually ensure that when we sell, the cars are trouble-free, and when there are issues with the car, we are able to recover and take appropriate measures quickly. And that was not the case in the past. But Dr. Lee and us, we somehow had to talk to not just to the dealers, to the outlets, 3S, 4S and whatnot. We had to do the same to our vendors as well, because every one of the stakeholders within Proton represents the Proton brand. And if any one of them could not deliver as to what we expect, okay, the brand suffers.
Are your vendors still majority Bumi Putra?
No, there's a mix, even in as in the past, okay, and we encourage them. I think there's more business to be made in the international market if you're able to compete. I think the key thing is that to be able to compete with any other mix. And how do we do that? As long as customers buy our cars, as long as they like to buy because we're able to give the market the features that is expected at the price point that we are looking at, I think they will buy. And this is the key effort that Dr. Lee and the team is putting into to make sure that customer is always happy what we sell.
Dr. Lee, you've given previous interviews where you put it at 100,000, 150, 200, 250,000 kind of KPIs of number of cars to be sold. I think congratulations to you and your team at Proton. You've sold over 100,000 now. I believe the figure now with the new target maybe 132, 140. Now with the pandemic, you're not worried that the sales going down, and you're confident that we can still move forward selling more Proton cars?
By the end of the August, a cumulative number, we are positive. This is only one OEM got this performance. So we believe this year I will get a good performance in terms of registration.
Sure.
But for profit, maybe we have problem because we stop production for
Right.
2 months.
I see. Yeah.
And also we never cut off our
Salary.
staff salary.
Yeah.
So that means
Correct.
2 months.
Yeah.
This is a big number. So we will try our best
Yeah.
to make a break even.
But you have made Proton go into the black, right, financially?
Last year
Yeah,
we
you
make
have
profit.
achieved that.
So this year we just met Dr. Suri, our chairman.
Yeah.
I told her, you must make money, huh? So we'll do.
I mean, would X50 do that for you? Help do that a lot? Is it coming this year? It is, right?
Until today, we have not announced what's the name of the next new model.
Yeah.
Tuesday, we will announce.
Yeah.
So let the new model, I believe, we can contribute a lot.
Wow. What would give us a bit of, even if you go watch movies, there's trailers.
Okay.
So give us a bit of a peek into what we Malaysians should be excited about the new car, whatever the name is.
Definitely, we'll be excited.
Give me one thing that's so good about this car.
Okay, for X70, this is level 1 in terms of
Autonomous driving.
autonomous drive.
Okay.
This car is level 2.
Wow.
I believe this is advanced, the most advanced in Malaysia
So-
until today.
Yeah. Any Malaysian driver driving your new car will get closer to the technology that cars like Tesla have, right? Right?
Maybe in
I mean, going there,
maybe in
going
some
there.
areas much better than
Much better.
Definitely,
Wow.
you can try.
Can you launch it here?
We here you can force here to test drive.
Datuk Razif, the new car.
I think you can see the excitement in the market, isn't it? I mean, people are talking about the new model, okay. And we are, of course, excited too that we feel like this model will help us to bring our performance to the next level, okay. I think perhaps if you can just be patient for 1 more week.
Okay.
You can be the first one to test drive our car. Yeah.
Well, I am driving a Proton anyway, but 35 years ago model, I never enough time with great people, so I'm just going to ask maybe Datuk first, and then I'll go let you close.
Okay.
Datuk, at the end of the day, Proton is not just about profit and loss.
True.
I know the business sense has got to make it. We want Proton to sell more than 1 million cars a year, for preferably majority overseas.
Right.
But what can we feel good about Proton now? What can you guarantee? If a Malaysian student in school watching this show now, he or she will work hard so that one day he or she can help Proton beat Tesla, for example.
Okay, I think this new purpose that we have, okay, in that we want and we feel that, or we believe that we can be better than what we used to be, provided we focus on the right areas, okay, for example, on technology, on consistency in terms of quality, and of course, I think very importantly, listening to what the market wants and to change according to what the trends in the market. I think if we can provide those 3 things, I think we are on our way to make sure that Proton will be something relevant in the future and a brand that Malaysians can be proud of, I think.
Dr. Lee, you like Captain America of the Avengers for the local Malaysian automotive industry. A lot of people are already looking at you higher and higher because of what you managed to do. Paint us a higher picture. 2027, if everything that you want to be done can be done, will be done, and even better, where will Proton be?
I think before 2027, Proton will be number 1 in Malaysia, and also will be number 3 in Asian markets. This is a key KPI. I want to say, if we want to be number 1, sales must be number 1.
Yep.
Your product must be number 1.
Okay.
Your people must be number 1. Your corporate culture
Correct.
must be number 1.
Yes.
So this is why we want to achieve. We are not only businessmen.
Yes.
We want to bring our Proton people, staff, upgrade.
Okay. So with that, I want to squeeze just a bit more time. It's easy for the X70 because it's not built from scratch. I know you have said about if you build one model totally from the ground up, if you don't make it, 1 billion goes down the drain. But Malaysia wants us to take that risk. Malaysia wants to see at least one originally made in maybe Tanjung Malaya Proton Steel, wherever, of Proton. Will we see it soon?
Definitely. Actually, I want to tell you, now we are discussing, we will developed by Proton people, by ourselves. So we will develop not only one model, 2 models together.
Soon.
Not soon.
Like how
If
many
for
years?
long, then very soon.
3 to 5 years? 3 to 5 years?
Definitely in 5 years.
And that's your promise?
Yes.
You're not going to leave us before that? You like Malaysian and nasi lemak, right?
No
Okay.
problem.
Thank you
In 5
so
years, no problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lee. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Radzaif, the number 1, number 2 of Proton. Thank you so much to you for watching. Dan sudah dijanjikan tadi, bukan saja Proton kembali nombor 1 di Malaysia dan mungkin juga di Asia Tenggara, tetapi juga kejayaan itu dengan membawa sendiri hasil titik peluh, reka bentuk, kejuruteraan dan segalanya hasil anak Malaysia. Dan inilah erti kemerdekaan dan inilah erti Hari Malaysia. InsyaAllah kita jumpa lagi. Terima kasih.